big in today's world. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, an average of 5.63 hours are dedicated per week to participating or watching sports activities. Everyone has a favorite sport, whether it be wrestling, football, basketball, soccer, baseball, or so on. My favorite sport happens to be just wrestling. Wrestling is a fighting sport just like that of karate, jiu-jitsu, kung fu, where form and sportsmanship are very important. In my first speech, I talked about how the history and dedication and hard work went into wrestling and on a daily basis. Today, I would like to show you some basics, some fundamentals of wrestling in order to help you better visualize the sport for those of you who may be unfamiliar to it. Today, I would like to give you an introduction to wrestling. Start with form, some simple takedowns, some simple stances, and a basic on how to pin somebody from the beginning. So we're going to start with stance, takedowns, positioning, and pins. Good afternoon, my name is Youseff Fouad, and welcome to Wrestling 101. Now, come on in. Today is my partner, LaRon Mayfield. Come on in. Now, when you start wrestling, there's two kinds of stances. You have square stance, which is very defensive, and you have stagger stance, which is more of an offensive. Personally, I enjoy the stagger stance a little bit more, simply because it gives me more of a flexibility. I can move, and I'm very agile. When you're looking to pick a stance, you want to be very agile. You want to be able to move around without having to get caught up between you and your legs or you and your partner, because it's all about having the best position. You want to gain positioning on him. According to iSport.com, your stance is critical, both offensive and defensively. It is the first thing you need to learn when learning the sport, because it can mean the difference of gaining points or losing points. You always want to gain points. Now, you have two options. You can either set up, again, defensively or offensively. But you want to not let your opponent pull you down. You understand? So a good stance is you're not too headed or too far over with your head, and you're not too far back. Not too far back means you're just going to get straight taken down, or if you have your head too far over, you're going to get pulled over. So that's stance. The second thing we have to learn is to shoot. A shot is your basic way of getting a takedown. Now, from neutral, you spend a lot of time shooting and try to take your opponent down, which is the only way you can get 2 points in wrestling. Now, a shot is very simple. You start in your stance. Good stance. You see my head's not too far over, it's not too far back. Now, with your lead leg, you step. You drop down to your knee. You follow with your lead leg. Start it again. So you're in your stance here. Step with your lead leg, drop down to it, come across with your trail leg, and step up. That is how you get into a shot. You can variate a little bit depending on the shot you're looking for, but for now, that's going to be what we stick to. That's going to be our only way of setting up a double leg. Now, the last thing I'm trying to go over is the 3 positions. We have neutral position, which is the way you start every match. You face your opponent just like this, face to face, and this is how you start. And you also have the choice later on to choose this position once again. The second position is referees. Referee's position gives you 2 options. You can go bottom, you can go top. Personally, it's up to you. I like both. Now, referee's position is you sit on your knees, hands and knees, and bottom is, obviously, you're on the bottom where your opponent has the control of your upper body. So he comes in, he covers you, hand over the stomach and hand above the elbow, and that's where we'd start. Now, your objective is, when you're on bottom, is to escape. Simply to get up and out as fast as you can and get your point. The other position is top referees. Now, you this time have the control of your opponent's hips and his arm. When you come in, you cover the stomach, hand over the belly button, and your other hand right above the elbow. Now this time, your objective is to break him down and get as many points as possible. Now both of these are good positions. You just have to be comfortable with it and have a technique and know where you're going with it after you select that position. You have two times to choose up, down, or neutral. It is at the end of the first period where the opponent that wins the coin toss gets to select whether he wants to be at neutral position, top position, or bottom. And again at the end of the second period. So now that we know the basics of stance, positions, and how to shoot, let's look at some simple takedowns. Now there are two kinds of takedowns that you build off of. One of them being a double leg, and the second being the single leg. Now a double leg will be the first position you learn, the first takedown you learn in any wrestling class or any wrestling practice. Where you start in your stance, neutral. You set it up, you walk till you get the leg that you want forward. You want the inside leg forward, step forward, and you take your shot, just like I showed you in the first couple steps. So you come, shoot in, step up. Now your head, you want your head on the inside, against his hips, because this is what you're going to drive into. Hands tight, one around the leg and one right above on his back. You step into him, just like so. Come around, you see how I'm stepping into him here? Hand on his thigh and one on his back. And you drive. Once again, come back. You set it up, you shoot him, step, lift, and drive. The second of the takedowns is a single leg. It's a variation on your shot because you have to shoot to the outside, but it's the same setup. You bring the leg in, you push, you pull, you want the far leg to step in this time. So come back around, I step backwards, this leg comes in, I shoot into it. Now this time you want one hand around the ankle and the other hand coming around your top hand. The same way you finish the double leg, you're going to finish the single leg. You step into him. You lift the leg. Now you see how I have the leg here tight? Arm tight around the ankle? Now you have a couple finishes from here. You can either do the sweep, which I like to do, hand tight on the kneecap. Step. You step back and slide. Key is to have the hand really tight on the kneecap, because your knee can only go one way. It doesn't bend that way. So as you step back and slide, he naturally goes down to avoid his knee going the other way. So once again, I have the ankle here, hand on the kneecap, I step, and I slide. The second finish to this is another form of a sweep, where you get him moving. He doesn't actually want to go down. So you come here, uppercut above the knee, and you kick out on the foot. So quick, we'll look at this one. And you cut. Now in practice, you wouldn't want to hurt your opponent or your partner, but in the match, you kick it really hard. All right? It's both good finishes to a single leg. Now, the purpose of these takedowns are to get your 2 points, because you always want to have more points than your opponent. If you just sit around and wait for your opponent to attack you, well then you have another set of moves that you need to work. So there are a defense, 2 specifically, but you use them together to defend a shot on you. So this time, he's going to shoot on me. Ready? Go ahead. The defense is to sprawl. You shoot your hips back as far as possible. Once again, it's all in the hips. So he shoots. I shoot my hips back. And I sprawl out. The second defense that you use along with the sprawl is called a crossface. Now, a crossface is similar to that of a jab, where you use the side, the bony side of your hand, and you put it across his face. Now, it makes it very uncomfortable for your opponent to hold onto your thighs or your hips really tightly, simply because you have this across his nose. Now, it's not a punch. You can't just punch your opponent, but you have to start with the hand on the nose. Once you have the hand on the nose, you can throw it as hard as you want from there. So again, he shoots on me, not all the way. I hip into him, right? I'm trying to sprawl. He's holding it real tight, and let me hit this side. When his head's on this side, I can take the crossface really deep and throw it off. You see how that may work? Where his head is turned, so I have the control of the head. I also have pain on the nose. That bridge of the nose with the bridge of my hand, the bony part of my hand, keeps him from getting deeper on my hips. Lastly, we know how to stand. We know how the positions work. We also have now learned some techniques on shooting. Takedowns, double leg and single leg, and the variations on how you finish. Now we need to know how to win. The purpose of a wrestling match is to pin your opponent to the mat, his shoulder blades to the mat for 2 seconds. So once you've gotten your takedown, or you've ended up in a position on the floor, you need to know where to go from there. So a pinning combination is how you would win a match. There are 2 kinds of pinning combinations that you would learn, basics. A half Nelson, similar to the full Nelson that's illegal in collegiate wrestling, and a bar arm. 2 of them are simple, but they work. My favorite is the bar arm. So let's look at that one first. Go ahead and lay down. Turn the other way. All right. So many a times, come slide up a little further. Many a times you'll see yourself, you'll end up here. Now, what you need to do first is break your opponent down. Now you see I've broken them down, but many people don't know where to go from here. The bar arm is simple. You come across the bridge of the back, scoop the arm. With your other hand, you grab the wrist. You lift the arm on one side, and with the wrist that you have, you walk towards the head. And you sit out. Again, come back. Go down. So again, we'll break him down, right? I got my forearm across the bridge of his back, as deep as I can get it. With my other hand, I grab his wrist, underneath the arm and over the wrist. I suck the wrist in really deep. I crank up on his shoulder. I lift it almost. As I lift it, I begin to walk. And as I walk, I sit out. Second finish is a half Nelson. A half Nelson is pretty much the same start. You break your opponent down, but this time you do something different with your far hand, with your near hand. So again, we start down. I break him down. He goes belly down. And this time, underneath the arm with my near hand and over the bridge of the neck. You understand? And with the other hand, same thing. You grab the wrist and bring it in tightly to the body, because you don't want him to have any way to post out. The whole purpose is to keep him from being able to bridge or to post out, so that you may be able to finish the move. All right, so this time, you have your hand across the bridge of the neck, you lift it, then you run it. And as soon as you run it, you grab the head and lock it up. Again, slide out here a little further so they can see it. Down. All right. So, break it down. You come across, hand under and over the bridge of the neck. Grab the wrist, suck the wrist in tight. and you walk it towards the head. And about 90 degrees, you suck it in really deep. Come across and lift. It should be tight. It should be uncomfortable for your opponent. It is tight for you. You hold it in deep and tight, off your knees, bridge into him or hip into him, and you look up. Because you want all your weight on him, squeezing it tight as possible so that all you have on the mat for him is the bridge of his neck or his shoulder blades so that you pin him and win the match. So now that we have demonstrated simple stance, shots, positions, simple takedowns, basic pin, let's look at how to put it all together. All right? So from the beginning, we start off in neutral, right? I'm here facing my opponent. We shake hands, right? And now I'm going to go in for a takedown and go from takedown to breakdown to pinning combination so that you see how this fluid motion that you're looking for comes together, right? So we start here, I'm working, come here, I got the single leg or the double leg, I come up, I drive, he goes belly down, belly down. Now I'm working my pinning combination. I got my arm across the bridge of the back, I have the wrist control, and now I lift. And I run until I have him on his back and me sitting out looking up. It becomes very fast and very fluid because the slower you take it, the more time your opponent has to defend it and less time you have to finish it. So you want to constantly work fast and think quick. The quicker you can think, the faster you can react, and the faster you're able to pin your opponent. Understood? So now that we know a few moves and techniques, let's review what we've learned. All right? Wrestling for me is my relaxation technique. It relieves all of my stress through this intense workout. In a short time, I'm able to focus clearly, and many times it relieves my pain and illnesses. Maybe because of the adrenaline rush, who knows? But within this workout, I'm able to put all my stress, all my emotions, all of everything bothering me on the mat at the same time. I'm sweating out all my illnesses and so on. Headaches, it relieves my headaches. Colds, however I may be feeling bad, wrestling gets rid of all of that. Workouts in general help relieve any kind of illness in the body simply because of your exerting all of it through this workout. I sweat. When you work in sweat, you're sweating out the illness. According to many researchers at Princeton University, physical activity reorganizes the brain so that it responds so that its response to stress is better. It is reduced, and your anxiety is also reduced. It's less likely to interfere with normal brain function. Learning to wrestle will help you understand and appreciate the sport for those who play it and for those who may enjoy it. Many do not give it a chance because of the many different reasons. I've heard all kinds of excuses. For example, they think it's very similar to that of WWE. They tell me they don't want to participate in wrestling because they think they're going to get hit by a chair. Now, that is just some responses that I've gotten. But if you give it a chance, you'll see that it's not what you would think it is before participating in it. I always say, do not judge a book by its cover, because if you constantly judge a book by its cover, you'll never know what the content of the book contains. Now, today, I've covered the fundamentals of wrestling, going over simple techniques, including stance, position, takedowns, defenses, and pinning combinations. These are the basic building blocks for the sport. And if ever one in the audience decides to take up wrestling, you'll have prior knowledge of the sport to help out. Thank you, and have a good night.